So glad you're with us here on THV11 News at Noon. Happy Hump Day. I'm Michael Aaron alongside meteorologist Nathan Scott. Nathan, here in Arkansas, we just kind of get used to the changing weather. 1 minute
up
it's
and down,
yeah,
up
it's just
and down.
basically a roller coaster. And we're about to hit another twist or turn on that roller coaster.
We're on the top of the hill right now,
Okay.
Michael, but we're about to go right back down going to the next few days. The weather will be changing is what I'm trying to say. Here's what's happening out there this afternoon. To make sure sunny clouds, temperatures are on the warm side into the mid to upper 60s, even some 70s showing up on the board. Fort Smith, Mena, the Queen, Texarkana, 72 right now in Camden. The clouds thicker over into Oklahoma. And here's a radar loop. The rain staying well to the west at this time. But there's a cold front developing into Oklahoma and Texas, and that cold front is sliding in our direction late tonight and early on Thursday morning. So most of our Wednesday, we're dry. There could be maybe an isolated shower down for you folks in South Arkansas through the late afternoon into the evening hours. But look what happens. We've got that line of showers and storms starts to arrive around 11 o'clock midnight for West Arkansas. And there could be a gusty storm. Can't rule that out. But this line will quickly sweep its way through the state while you're sleeping tonight. Highs today. Low, possibly mid-70s. Tomorrow, it will be cooler. I'll have much more on the timing of that shower and thunderstorm activity and also let you know how cool it's going to get coming up.
Pfizer and its partner BioNTech have asked federal regulators to allow boosters for anyone 18 and older. As Nikki Batiste reports, that could include people who didn't get the Pfizer vaccine for their first 2 doses.
More than 25 million Americans have gotten their COVID vaccine booster shot. The FDA authorized it for adults who are 65 and older, at high risk, or who already received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now Pfizer is asking the FDA to authorize its booster shot for everyone 18 and older, citing its new data that a booster shot offers close to complete protection from severe COVID.
The data look excellent. It showed real safety, and it showed that it worked. Over 95% protection from infection.
The FDA denied a request by Pfizer to expand eligibility for its booster back in September, saying there wasn't enough information at that time. But mounting evidence now shows without a booster, the vaccine's effectiveness drops over time.
And I think it's certainly important as we go into colder months.
As Dr. David Agus says, there's concern about cases rising this winter. About a third of Americans haven't even had 1 vaccine dose.
What we're seeing is rising numbers of cases in areas where the temperature is dropping because people are moving indoors more and there's more spread of the virus, and we're seeing more breakthrough infections and obviously significant infections in those who are unvaccinated.
Dr. Agus says Pfizer's request will go straight to the FDA commissioner, who could rule on it as soon as next week. If authorized, Pfizer's booster shot would be available for all adults. And Dr. Agus recommends all adults should get it, even if they got the Moderna or J&J vaccine. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
The number of people getting their first vaccine dose is climbing again. That upward trend comes as younger kids begin getting the shot here in Arkansas. And listen to this, we are just short of having half the state ages 5 and up fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Meanwhile, we continue to make progress lowering our numbers in the state. Arkansas reported 614 new cases of COVID-19 on Tuesday. That's a couple dozen fewer than last Tuesday. All that said, active cases are up today. Right now, 4,360 Arkansans are dealing with the virus. 288 of those are in the hospital. The FBI has named a person of interest in the disappearance of Morgan Nick. Of course, she is the 6-year-old who was abducted at an Alma baseball field back in 1995. Billy Jack Links died in prison more than 2 decades ago. But the FBI has evidence that could tie him to this case. They now need anyone with information about him to come forward. You see his photo right there on your screen. And here's what we know about Links. He was born in Crawford County back in 1924, then raised there. He served in the Army during World War II before working for Braniff Airlines in Dallas from 1962 to 1974. He eventually returned to Van Buren sometime in the late 1970s. Fast forward to 1995, about 2 months after Morgan disappeared, Links tried to abduct a young girl in Van Buren 8 miles from where Morgan was last seen. He died in prison in 2000. We spoke with Morgan's mom, Colleen, about this development. She stands firm in her belief that Morgan will be found and her family will get justice, but they need your help.
Tell us what you know, because you literally could be holding the key to bringing Morgan home. You know, we are incredibly appreciative of the state of Arkansas, who really stood up for Morgan when she was taken and have continued to stand and fight for her.
If you have any information about Lynx, call that number on your screen. It's 1-800-CALL-FBI. Investigators say no piece of information or detail is too small. Houston police continue gathering evidence related to the deadly night at Astroworld Music Festival. 8 people were killed Friday in Houston when the crowd of 50,000 people surged forward. And today we're learning more about what happened from the people who were there. Here's Lilia Luciano.
Cell phone video shows Aiden Cruz pleading desperately with an Astroworld camera operator.
There's people just doing anything they could to just survive.
He says he and his girlfriend were pushed to the ground along with 16-year-old Brianna Rodriguez. After he managed to get up, he went to the camera platform for help.
I just felt like no one else was gonna do it, and it would save Bree, and it would save those people that were beneath my feet.
The show continued, and Brianna Rodriguez was one of the 8 killed that night. On Tuesday, legal teams representing some of the victims combed through the site, gathering evidence amid a growing number of lawsuits against festival organizers. It was there we caught up with attorney Ben Crump.
It is truly every parent's worst nightmare.
He represents the family of 9-year-old Ezra Blunt, pictured here just outside the festival gate. Crump says Ezra was on his father's shoulders. When his father passed out in the crush, Ezra fell and was trampled to the ground.
He's in an induced coma, and so it's going to take a miracle.
How parts of the crowd spun out of control remains a central question. In a 2019 Netflix documentary, Scott's security team explains to event staff at a different venue what to expect from the audience.
So you see a lot of kids that are just trying to get out and get to safety because they can't breathe because it's so compact.
Houston Fire Chief Samuel Peña says while the 2019 Astroworld Festival had some medical incidents, Friday night was unprecedented. And he expressed frustration that the show continued even after his department declared a mass casualty event. Who was responsible for that?
In the plan, it's outlined that the event directors were the ones that were responsible for essentially pulling the plug.
We've reached out to Travis Scott and the organizers of the event for comment regarding the dozens of lawsuits that have been filed so far, but we haven't heard back. Now, I got to speak with Judge Hidalgo. She's the county executive, and she says she's been leading a call for an independent investigation into what went wrong, given the role of police in having to provide security that night. I also asked Chief Peña what he thinks, and he says although he trusts the police department, an investigation that is independent and objective couldn't hurt. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Houston.
In other news this afternoon, the National Archives is set to release White House documents this week that could shed light on the January 6th Capitol attack. Late last night, a federal judge blocked former President Trump's request to keep lawmakers investigating the assault on the Capitol from seeing White House records. A special House committee is looking into who may have been involved in the planning of events that led up to the attack on the Capitol. The documents they're seeking would likely include phone call records, White House visitor logs, and even Twitter messages. President Joe Biden heads to Baltimore today to tout the bipartisan infrastructure deal and show how the money will be used to upgrade our nation's ports and strengthen supply chains. He'll deliver remarks about the economy and getting Americans back to work. The Build Back Better plan is still being considered in Congress. A vote may happen next week.